trying to get this tweet through and I'm trying to then switch my phones. Sure. Yeah, I am at the corner of 35th and State Street. I just need to switch my phone.
Yep. Right, well I just talked to a sergeant.
Because they're still working to put together the information that all of them are gathering. But again, people still arriving here on scene. They are dressed in tactical uniforms. They are assembling their rifles.
Ran up to the scene right there. So they're trying to stabilize it. The language that they're using. You can hear there's still sirens in the area.
I got another couple of right.
What's up behind you? these dramatic pictures, as we pointed out, still some law enforcement showing up at the scene. We've seen Milwaukee Police Department, obviously FBI here, Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office, all responding to the scene as multiple jurisdictions sort of collide here on this space.
We want to go back to our Carol Meekins, who has been in contact, or at least keeping us updated on what workers or employees are saying. And Carol, do you have any new information?
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that I let you know that I'm glad that Steve just gave us that information, because we did talk to our individual that is not on scene, but she is off work. But she did let us know that she had misspoke earlier and that they had sent text messages via personal cell phones to employees. So she wanted to make sure we cleared that up. Steve just did that very well. But that's very important, because most companies have some kind of procedures in cases in terms of a tactical situation or an active shooter. So employees were notified through text messages, and this is something that person told us she was just so shaken up, she's so upset, because she's worried about her friends and her loved ones that might be inside. So she did apologize, and we just wanted to make sure we make that clear. Employees did get notified, as Steve just told us. So that's very important, and what's most important, though, is to find out exactly what is going on here, because there's a lot of concern about people, not only people inside, but what might transpire outside. It is we see so many law enforcement in tactical situations and in uniforms, but the truth is we do not want to give any information that we have not verified, that we're not certain is right. So we are holding off on and letting you know any details that we might be getting into the newsroom unconfirmed. Back to both of you.
That's our Carol Meekins in the today's TMJ4 newsroom as we're on scene outside the MillerCoors campus. Reports of a shooting, what was described by some on social media as an active shooter situation, what is only described officially by Milwaukee Police Department as a critical incident. Shannon Sims along with Charles Benson and Vince Vitrano here on the news desk at TMJ4. Shannon, you just ended the conversation. I don't know if you have anything new that you shared.
Well, I just think it's important to understand where we're talking about. This is in a neighborhood. You have MillerCoors there, but you also have Harley-Davidson. But outside of those two, really it is neighborhoods around these two campuses. So having a lot of these streets blocked off can also bring a lot of havoc to the day, but also you have a lot of bus stops right near where all this is going on. So I want to send it out to Tom Durian, who is in the field right now, close to the action, for an update.
Hi, Shannon. Yeah, we are here on Highland, shooting down through an alleyway into the Miller Valley. We're right in front of the MillerCoors headquarters, the corporate office, which, as you've heard from many of our colleagues mention, is on lockdown. And when we say it's on lockdown, I can tell you this, it's like a weekend over here. I haven't seen people moving anywhere around this part of the building, and we know we are in the middle of a day on a Wednesday where there are certainly hundreds, if not thousands, of people working inside MillerCoors on this day. But as you're looking at this live picture, this is where we can see the tactical squads kind of gathering before they head into wherever this active space is that they are around. We've seen people on roofs, we've seen officers all over this area, and we do still see vehicles starting to arrive on scene here, as Steve was mentioning, some in their own personal vehicles, some with the red and blue lights on, sheriffs. We have people from all different agencies around right now arriving on the scene. I just saw Milwaukee Sheriff's squad car come through here with the lights on. They are still arriving here from all over the area and amassing down there in the Miller Valley. Again, if you're familiar with the tour, this is right in the center where you would walk up underneath where you see the beer bottles going across in that skyway. This is right about in that area. I can tell you that I walked back to the location we showed you about a half hour ago, looking down at State Street where the ambulances were staging, and I still count the same number of ambulances staging in that area, about 4 or 5 sitting there at the far west end of State Street on the west side of MillerCoors here. But again, this seems to be where the activity is at the moment. Obviously, these officers doing their best to make sure that everybody is safe inside that building, and they are safe as well, not knowing what they could be encountering here. They are certainly gathering a lot of people amassing down there on State Street.
Durian, who is on the scene, walking us through what he has been able to see outside of MillerCoors. We are now told and would expect at this time that the police chief would be on the scene. We do know that the police now more than an hour ago let us know that they were responding to a critical incident, and now Carol Meekins has some new information. Carol?
No, I just got it. Thank you very much, Charles. I just got information. Chief Alfonso Morales has just arrived on the scene, so he is there assessing the situation. Also want to let you know, obviously, this is a very tense situation. People nearby are being told to stay in place. 35th in Wisconsin, Marquette High School. Students are also on lockdown. They are not allowed to leave. So this information is very important for parents who think they might be picking up kids or getting on the bus. Marquette High School on lockdown. Just want to make sure I let you know. We don't have word on any police briefing when that might happen. Again, an unknown number of injuries, but as soon as we get more confirmed information, we will send that on to you. Charles.
All right, Carol Meekins in our newsroom. We have Steve Shamras on the scene as well, along with multiple reporters. As you see these live pictures, we have been on the air now for almost an hour as this whole thing, Vince and Shannon, has been unfolding in front of us. And what we know for certain is that more and more law enforcement keep responding to this active shooting situation. What we don't have an update on is just how active the situation is in terms of what law enforcement is doing. And to be clear, they're doing their job right now, and so we want to let them do that, and then they will brief us on what they've been able to find and learn about what has happened in this particular situation. One of the first reporters to arrive on the scene for us is Lauren Linder, and she's been at that location where there's just been a lot of activity with law enforcement and the fire department. But Lauren, one of the things I think we've noticed is that whatever emergency response crews, ambulances, they have not gone past the yellow tape yet.
They have not. Sorry, Charles, I missed that last thing you said.
So mainly the fire department been staying behind the yellow line, as well as emergency response ambulances or emergency crews?
That's actually, we just saw another crew from the Milwaukee Fire Department just actually go right through past the crime tape, go in with some gear themselves. So some of them are here on standby. Some of them, it seems like a lot of the vehicles may even just be stationed here, and some of the people may have gone and raced down there. But I know that at least moments ago I did see some paramedics going through the crime tape, going down towards where the scene is. Just to think about, like an hour ago when I did arrive on scene, I was the first out here from our station. There were just probably maybe 5 law enforcement vehicles out here, or 5 first responder vehicles out here. Now I can't even count how many there are out here, and more agencies are still pulling up officers in their own gear or in their own vehicles, officers in unmarked vehicles, members of several different agencies. And right now you can actually probably see on our camera the Milwaukee County Sheriff Tactical Command Center is just arrived. We saw a little bit earlier the Milwaukee Police Incident Command Center arrive. So multiple big vehicles arriving for a long night ahead, and just a lot of different people trying to respond to this incident. And again, just to give you an idea, we're a few blocks away from where MillerCoors is, and this is the scene, just a few blocks away. So imagine just how much crazier it is where some of our other reporters are at this time. But as other people have said, as I've heard Steve said, as I've heard Tom said, they're seeing more agencies pull up to the scene. We're seeing the same thing on this side as well. And actually, I see some ATF officers, if my cameraman can show you, they are just showed up here and are walking down towards the scene. Also, the public information officer for the Milwaukee Police Department did show up in this area maybe about 10 minutes ago. We asked her if there's anything that she could tell us about this situation, but she said right now it's still all really developing. So hopefully we'll be able to learn something soon for them. But for now, back to you.
That's our Lauren Linder on scene there, about 37th and State, or 37th and Highland. Sorry, we're kind of looking at that square block area, basically between 37th to all the way up to 40th. North end would be Highland, south end would be State Street. The campus there. I want to pass along a couple of nuggets that we are getting. So these are things that are confirmed. They're coming from official sources. First, this from the Marquette Police Department. So this would be the campus police force of Marquette, which isn't terribly far from this location. Marquette police are responding with MPD to reports of a critical incident at MillerCoors. There is no active threat to campus at this time, and no buildings needed to go on lockdown. Now that for Marquette University, which is blocks, if not miles away at its,
probably about 6 blocks away. Wisconsin Avenue.
Right, on its far western end there on Wisconsin. We're going to go back out to our Steve Shamraz. He's been on scene reporting on the tactical response as well. Steve?
Yeah, we're at 37th and Highland, where it is quiet. It is eerily quiet for all the law enforcement that is here. Without giving anything tactically away, as more law enforcement continues to show up, they are moving south of our position here. So I am standing... Sorry, a sheriff's vehicle is just roaring past me here. I am standing directly across the street from that square glass and brick building, which is the headquarters for MillerCoors here in Milwaukee. Everything is going on south of that is where all the law enforcement is going, but we can't see anything from where we are that would indicate where all the attention is being focused right now. Haven't seen any new law enforcement show up here in about 10 minutes. There were a couple of sheriff's command vehicles that came through here a little bit ago, but it is eerie quiet. Everybody is just standing around. Nobody is coming out of Harley-Davidson, which is just on the north side of Highland at 37th Street. That building, we have been told through emails from corporate, is also on lockdown. We did see some school kids on our way here as we kind of worked our way in from the east, from the Avenues West neighborhood. There were some school kids on the streets. I know schools are on lockdown now, so that's going to be a little bit more difficult as, kids aren't able to get home at the end of the school day. That's the time of the day we're in right now. But it's quiet. Just people in the neighborhood who live here on their porches. Anybody else has been told to stay away. Police have locked this area down tight. And guys, the word right now is just quiet. It's spooky quiet.
All right, Steve, keep us updated there. We want to let our viewers know we continue to monitor this breaking news situation at MillerCoors, and we are joined now by Steve Peterson, who many of you may know was a sheriff's detective and public information officer with the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department. And Steve, we appreciate you joining us by phone right now. We know you are monitoring the situation, at least on TV, and are seeing some of these live pictures. From your expertise involved in a number of active shooting situations, critical incident situations, what are you seeing and what can you tell us is going on?
Well, hey, Charles, this is, just by viewing this is a very significant event. In fact, when this was unfolding, I was actually in downtown Milwaukee in the area of Milwaukee Police Headquarters, and I was commenting to myself, thinking, I have never seen so many law enforcement vehicles, and they're all heading west on State Street before. So immediately I knew that there was a major incident going on. What I guess I could theorize by looking at, you can see that whole MillerCoors complex there is huge, and the main office building is a huge building. It looks like to me that there are tactical assets that are being called in from surrounding jurisdictions, not just within the city of Milwaukee, but from Milwaukee County and probably outside of Milwaukee County. And I'm pretty sure the reason for that would be because that building is so big, they need those extra tactical components in there to help clear that building, because they have to make sure that the threat is gone, there's not another threat in there. And when they clear those buildings, sometimes that develops into a slow, methodical process. And I think they're calling in for extra assets, which is why you're seeing those tactical components from surrounding law enforcement agencies.
And Steve, stay with us, because we're also watching a live picture that Milwaukee Mayor Tom Barrett has arrived on the scene as well. We are going to keep an eye on that to see if he is going to update us or if we're going to wait for Chief Morales in this particular situation. You talked about the number of assets on the scene right now and also coming from other jurisdictions. You talked that this is a large...
We haven't we were trying to see if he would talk to us, but these people telling us that right now is still waiting to get more information and hoping to fill us in shortly. But you can see this vantage point we're at. Fire trucks lined up down 35th Street at State. And the last one there is the Wauwatosa fire truck, and it's all the way down there. Another Wauwatosa squad fire truck is also here as well, and we saw West Allis ambulance here earlier. Mayor being escorted here into the scene. He has security personnel with him at all times. Obviously, they believe it's safe for him to at least get up this far as he goes in. Let's see if we can see how far we can get before we get pushed back. Just keep an eye on the mayor. We're trying to get not to be in the way, but I think we're about to get kicked out. But again, situation very active. It's, as the police told us, they're trying to stabilize the situation, evaluate the situation, and they said they would tell us as soon as they can what they can. But again, our source is telling us 2, perhaps 3 people killed. One of them could be the shooter in the situation, but again, we're waiting on official word. And as you guys have been saying, that a gunman at this point reported to be an employee here at MillerCoors.